Hi, I'm Nicole with Nebraska Safety Council WorkWell. We are a safety and well-being organization that services the entire state of Nebraska and located here in Lincoln. We have some community driving programs such as driver's education and motorcycle safety, but a big part of what we do is working with businesses in their safety and their wellness programs to make sure that they have their employees live safe and healthy lives. For Streets Alive, normally we have our healthy beverage board that shows the amount of sugar in the beverages. So we work a lot with businesses on making sure that they have healthy nutrition policies and practices in place. Also working with companies on physical activity and breastfeeding support in their workplaces as well. But anything in regards to wellness and safety. What we have for Streets Alive this year is a video showing you how you can do health coaching with your friends, family members, co-workers, using them as a good accountability partner or a support person, or if there's somebody that you've been talking to that's like, yeah, I want to lose 5 pounds, or I want to start working out again. Just some helpful ways to have a conversation to really help you guys reach the wellness goals that you have for yourself.
Hi, my name is Courtney with the Nebraska Safety Council WorkWell, and one of my roles is health coach. So today I'm going to teach you how to increase your efficiency as a accountability partner by using health coaching principles. We're going to go through this process that I've broken into 4 steps, and with each of those we're going to talk about some open-ended questions that you can ask to get more information in those conversations. So we're going to be discovering the goal, figuring out how to make a plan, looking at controlling your environment for the success of that individual, and then troubleshoot any barriers as they arise. A lot of this has focus on accountability. So we'll start with discovering the goal. And it seems reasonable that we need to know where we're going in order to figure out how we're going to get there. So if we take travel planning, so vacation planning, you're going to pick your destination and then you're going to work backwards. Figure out a timeline, and then also figure out this different steps. So if you're going to fly or if you're going to drive, you're going to look at the route that you're going to be driving if you choose driving, and then look at your budget as part of this process as well. And then are you packing your food or are you eating along the way? So lots of different parts of that process, and those are going to be the little action steps and little chunks that we can break it down to baby step all the way to that long-term goal. So the long-term goal is that destination spot we want to be in. And then the short-term are those little baby step action steps. And your outcomes are going to be the things, much like weight loss is the biggest one that I hear, is the result of all of this process, all of these processes. The questions that we can ask in relation to this is, what do we want to accomplish? So let's use an example of improving our biometric numbers. And then how are we going to measure your progress? This question is going to be looking for the accountability within that. So that might be making your short-term goal of, well, I want to increase fruits and vegetables to eventually improve my biometric numbers. And in order to do that, then we'll need to just start with the baby step of adding 1 serving of fruits and vegetables more than normal every single day. And the outcome of that could be, of course, the improving biometric numbers, but oftentimes I hear, again, the weight loss. We want to lose some weight. So it was 1 baby step at a time. The last one is, does this goal feel realistic? This is really important because we want to build habits here. We don't want people to get overwhelmed, because then it's easy to slip back into what was comfortable, and it's typically those unhealthy habits. And we want lasting change, and that's why the habits are very important here. So next we're going to be looking at making the plan. Again, focusing on those baby steps. So if we want to increase our fruits and vegetables to say 3 to 4 specifically, we got to look at the how. How are we going to do that? We need the steps to get there. So in this example, we could add that 1 serving more every single day. So we could even put a range on it so it feels a little bit more comfortable. If they're at 1 to 2 servings every single day, then let's add it to 2 to 3 servings. So then if they're just only hitting their normal best day, then it's still a win. It's still a step in the right direction. And then we can keep improving upon those habits. And then the second part of that is determining if the next step is reasonable and measurable. So we talked about why reasonable is important, but then measurable is where the accountability piece kicks in. So how are we going to know if we met the goal or not? The questions that go with this are, what is the first baby step? Do you have a deadline? Does this feel reasonable? How can we make this measurable to add accountability? And all of those apply to what we talked about on the last slide. Next is controlling the environment for success. So we have to take that one little baby step at a time until it becomes a habit, because we have a limited amount of willpower, and by the end of every single day, it runs out. And it runs out faster depending on how many decisions we have to make throughout that particular day. So if we rely on willpower alone, we're going to fail. That's why we need some external factors as well as that motivation. So we need something like reminders, actually blocking out that time. So in this example we've been talking about with food, then meal prepping and planning, time to go grocery shopping and making that list of what you're going to take, what you're going to buy while you're there, as well as prepping those so that it's easy to grab. So when you open the fridge to get something to eat, it's the first thing that you see. So creating that environment so it's easier to do whatever the task is than it is to ignore it. Also keep in mind that we have a tendency to get really used to our environment, and at that point we start to ignore whatever it is that's around us. So if you are thinking about using some sort of reminder, so maybe it's on your phone, then switch out for Post-it notes if that stops working, or another type of visual reminder to help you stay on track, and then alternate them. If you notice that you're ignoring them again, then switch it out for something else. If you have two, then you can alternate between those. Another important part of your environment is the community support, and that is you in this case for that person that you are assisting. The one biggest excuse that I hear all the time, and you've probably said it yourself, I know I have too, is that we don't have time to do these things. Well, there's one easy way to fix that, and it's time blocking. So look at your schedule. Put everything actually on a calendar or write it out, whatever works best for you, but then block out the time. This is my time for doing this particular task. Of course, as we know, life happens and we need to move it around sometimes. But if you get in the habit of, this is the time I do that, then it will become part of our routine. And then it'll be harder to ignore because it's just something we do. We don't have to think about it. The questions you can ask to help get information around this topic is, how can you set up your environment for success? When will you be doing this activity? What do you need in order to accomplish the task? And what can I do to support you? So you are that extra external accountability that can be there to cheer them on and also maybe drag them to a workout or something. And all of these are going to help you gain information to figure out what barriers are and what you can do for their success and what they can do for their success. Next step is troubleshooting. So it is good to ask about any potential barriers ahead of time, but they don't always know them. Life changes. So we just have to get some creative solutions as those barriers come up. So questions to go with that are, is there anything that will prevent you from reaching this goal? And what can you do to make sure you stay successful? That can start that process of thinking about anything that's going to get in the way, and then already about creative solutions to overcome them. So the whole purpose of health coaching is to first discover the interest level and willingness to change. If someone has already come to you as the accountability partner and asked you to help them, then there's already that willingness to change. But if it's some other topic comes up in your conversation and they're just not ready to budge on it, then it's not going to happen. You can't force someone to change. And if you are able to, it's not going to last. But you can talk about some of those things and ask a lot of questions about why they feel that way. And that can start the ball rolling in their thought process about ways that they can change and why they don't want to change with this. And that can really start the process of change in the very beginning stages of just thinking about it. Then create a measurable and realistic goal. So we went through that process, but those are the two most important parts. When you hear SMART goal, those are the two pieces that I take away as most important and most helpful to people that I've been health coaching. When it comes to environmental factors, community support is equally as important as all the other factors, and that's you. So also just good on you for helping people, and then hopefully this helps you to improve that help that you're giving. The two tools that you will need to improve that help or efficiency in that helping are motivational interviewing and active listening. So motivational interviewing, according to ACE Fitness, is a communication strategy used by a health coach to partner with a client to explore uncertainty about a behavior change. And the 4 parts included in that start with the open-ended questions. This is going to help you gather a lot more information than just a lot of yeses and nos. So if you go back and look at all of the questions that I gave you as an example, they are mostly open-ended questions. The next step is affirming them. So tell them what they're doing really well that you've seen throughout that conversation. And then this is going to build self-efficacy, which means more confidence in that particular task that it is they're doing, which is extremely important in continuing to grow. Reflective listening is the next step. And this is just like if you've heard of active listening. So you want to repeat what you think you heard them say to see if it is what they actually said. And so the phrases that you can use is, it sounds like, and then repeat what they said, and they can say, no, that's not right, or yes, you got it. So an example is, sounds like you're having trouble reaching your fruits and vegetable goal because they're not easily available. Is that correct? And then they can correct me or say, yes, that's right. And then we can move on with the next steps in that conversation. At the very end, it's a good idea to go through and just summarize everything you talked about. So highlight the key points, and then also make sure you go over those goals again and that they agree on the particular wording and the measure that you're using for those particular goals. Now, with all of those tips and tricks, you can go out and help your friends and family a little bit better. Thank you for joining me today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.